Hey guys, I hope you guys are doing well. I'm gonna go ahead and review the latest patch that came out today. This is the Recipes Cookbook update, or something like that. Alright, let's have a look. Dear Viceroy, the 7th bi-weekly update is now live. This time we're introducing recipes, new forest mysteries, and more. If you like the game and new changes, you can do us a favor by rating Against the Storm Metacritic. So be sure to give them a nice, good rating, guys, if you really like the game. And I want to thank everyone who contributed to this update by reporting issues, supporting new features, or simply leaving feedback. You rock. And then it's got a couple of little links to the various pages on this. Okay. Developer note. With this new update, we wanted to improve how players manage production changes as well as introduce some new content to sweeten the wait time for the big Harpy update coming in February. That being said, the two highlights of this update are a global recipe window and new forest mysteries, aka seasonal effects. Let's start with the most requested feature, the recipe summary window. It's been on the table from the very start of early access, and it's high time we implemented it. In this panel, you'll be able to see all accessible recipes, search and browse through goods and ingredients, and set production limits, and manage where something is produced with what ingredients. So there's a control panel, things like that. The recipe summary is a difficult topic because recipes in Against the Storm can be pretty complex at times, so this version is by no means final and will still require further iteration. Please feel free to share your impressions and feedback on our Discord channel and the new suggestion board. All right, let's have a look at it real quick. So it's kind of interesting. So I think it shows you how many of. So I think this is, for instance, taken from a settlement that has a variety of buildings, I'm guessing, and so it'll show you here how many 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, and I'm guessing there's some kind of 4-star. I've never seen 4-star, but I guess it might exist. Building that exist. So yeah, this is kind of interesting. I am curious to know if you, for instance, unlock codes, right? And you set this at, like, let's say 100, which, by the way, this is a sliding bar. I hope that you can actually click on here to set it at, like, let's say 200 or 300. And yeah, so I'm curious to know if it will unlock recipes in the 1-star, because, for instance, let's say you have a clothier and a provisioner, right? And you might have people in both the clothier and the provisioner. Well, the provisioner is a 1-star, the clothier is a 3-star. I don't really want it to unlock in a 3-star building. I don't want it to be like, hey, you have this 3-star building, it's going to help to produce like 200 codes. I just want all 200 codes produced in the 3-star building. So we'll see how that works. But I do like that it kind of gives you this little layout here with information. So you have this tincture, apothecary, brick oven. So it kind of gives you, like, where you can produce stuff. Oh, okay. Well, that answers that question, I guess. So then you can lock it and unlock. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I should have looked at that then. So you can say, like, the brick oven do not produce any. Okay, interesting. All right, I like that. I like that because then you can basically say it's created in one. Okay, all right. Okay, that's good. So this is actually even more detailed than I thought it was. Awesome. Okay, cool. I can't wait to play around with it. It looks awesome. Really, really glad they implemented this. Yeah, looks great. Okay. Last but not least, the new Forest Mysteries. We added 25 new effects to the already existing pool of 35, making a nice round number of 60. Love it. That means that they've almost doubled it. Our approach this time was to create new challenges that would not rely on the species needs system, but instead make use of more interesting mechanics and logics that were introduced with daily modifiers or in the latest updates to perks. We feel that the old seasonal effects based on needs still have their place in the game, but they are not as game-defining as we hoped when we first introduced them. Some examples of the new Forest Mysteries would be lightning destroying buildings in the storm, paying spark dew to avoid a penalty, getting a unique farm recipe only in drizzle, or turning dead villagers into blight rot during the storm. Also, really, really interesting. We're gonna go ahead and go through them a little bit more in detail. Harpies sneak peek. So we've got this kind of cool wing shape with the harpies, and it's got this cool purple design. I like it. I like it a lot. Um, Again, I love the aesthetics of this game. Um, yeah, it's probably one of the main reasons why I keep going back. I just love how pretty it is. All right, what are the forest mysteries? Oh yeah, the Harpies update is coming in February. If you know the hostility of the forest and the forest mysteries work, one recurring piece of feedback is that the tutorial is missing information on how hostility of the forest works. So the hostility of the forest, you can actually click on this little red icon here, and it'll give you these details. And so, for instance, if you're on difficulty multiplier, it kind of tells you, if this is like the base level. So I think in the tutorial, you'll kind of start at difficulty 1, and then you'll go further from out there. All new players, if you're a new player watching my videos, please take a second, highlight over this, highlight over each of the mysteries, see what they do, try to get a better understanding. I think some folks just kind of rush into a game without ever reading things. I remember, I think my very first couple of games, I read through everything. I clicked on everything that I possibly could. So yeah, there's many bad ways to increase hostility and a few good ways to decrease hostility. And this just kind of goes through that. So we got glades open, number of years passed, number of villagers, number of woodcutters, and the difficulty multiplier. And there's a few ways to decrease hostility, which is the number of hearths, queens, and patients, and there's various cornerstones and things like that that can do that as well. Things like the Tea Doctor, which is a building, can do that as well. All right. Forest Mysteries. You start each game with a unique set of different seasonal effects called Forest Mysteries. These are special conditions. These are two types of effects, positive and negative. The negative ones will be active during the storm, and the positive ones only in drizzle. I wish they would change this. Please, please change this. Like, I want there to be negatives during the storm, positive during the drizzle. Like, okay, imagine how interesting it would be if you didn't have as many negatives during the storm, right? But you had a few negatives during the drizzle. And that coincides with things like the woodcutters, right? So now you're thinking, oh man, okay, it's hard enough having woodcutters during the storm because they increase hostility, but now I have to consider, is having woodcutters during the drizzle good because they're also going to increase hostility, things like that. And why is positive only in the drizzle? Why can't there be some positives during the clearance as well? I feel like the clearance is just you know, go harvest kind of a thing. But anyways, I really do hope they change that. These can be anything from gain 5 amber each year to villagers without coats have a 40% chance of dying during the storm, and we all know how that one works. A lot of communication on this on Discord. All right. Some force mysteries are active from the start of a game, and some only activate upon reaching a certain hostility to the force level. Additionally, some force mysteries effects scale every year or every hostility level. When selecting a new region for your settlement in the world map layer, you can see the number of positive and negative force mysteries that are randomly drawn in the map. The generated mysteries appear at the beginning of each game and are later displayed in the top panel. For those of us that play on Impossible, it's always the same. You get one good thing and 4 bad things. But yeah, if you're playing on like normal or hard or very hard, I think you can have 3 and then 2 and then 2 again. And then I think on very hard and on impossible is when you only get 1 positive. Community translations. Again, shout out to Poge or Poge, however it's pronounced, for doing the Japanese. Awesome. And I really do hope that we can get some more folks who speak other languages to do some translation. That'd be awesome. Number of changes 69. Inspired by the community 48%. All right. So this time they're going, nope, we're not going to listen to the community. We're going to do our own thing, which is good. Developers need to have power. They need to design the game the way that they wish to. I think it's good, that they don't just listen to everything we say. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to post videos with my suggestions or other people are not going to post. Okay. New content features added a recipe panel, a place where you control all recipes in your settlement. The panel can be accessed via a new button on the top right corner of the screen. It includes all recipes includes all recipes available in a given settlement from buildings already placed and blueprints available to be built. It does not show recipes that are not on your roster in a given session. That's good. That's actually good. It is divided into 7 categories based on the types of goods available in the game. All food, building material, consumable. Okay, good. So this is kind of similar when you click on the little buttons on the top left. And these are the categories that it's in. You can browse through goods in 2 modes: ingredient and product. The ingredient mode will show a list of resources that can be used to produce other goods. Upon selecting a good, you will be shown all available recipes given a good can be used in. The product mode will show a list of goods and their sources. Upon selecting a resource, you'll be shown all available recipes where it can be created. After selecting good, you can see the buildings in which it's produced, the star ratings, recipes, time requirements, ingredients, as well as a count of all recipes per grade. Now it says star requirements and then time requirements, but I didn't see time on here because Oh, there it is. Okay, so time requirements is over there on the left. Okay, good. So that also shows you how long it's going to take. I like that. There should be some allows you to set global limits per good, change ingredients, enable or disable recipe in specific buildings, set local limits that override the global limit. This is good because you kind of get to like year 6 or 7 and you have this really sprawling settlement and you kind of forget where you put certain buildings. I think this is really good. There's a related goods section that lists all resources tied to a selected recipe. You can click any item in this list, and the panel will search for other sources or recipes with this good. If you don't have a building in your settlement, but it's available in your roster, you can press the build button in the summary panel to go straight into construction mode. Good? Okay. All right, here we go. This is what I enjoy talking about. Added 25 new forest mysteries to the already existing 35, making a total of 60 effects that can be generated when starting a new map. They apply to almost all biomes, with 2 to 5 exceptions for every biome, as some effects are unique to some environments. Okay, when they say things like this, and then they have something like humid climate, the humidity in this region is unbearable. Fuel efficiency is 30% lower. This affects stacked with the hostility level. Um, I also wish that they would maybe say if this is not going to be on a certain map, or or at what hostility level it increases. I know it's a little bit more, but this is probably one of the main key mechanics of the game is the forest mysteries. These are the things that players play around to make sure that they don't die. So I would appreciate just a little bit more information about this. So let's start with this first one. Humid climate. The humidity in this region is unbearable. Fuel efficiency is 30% lower. This effect stacks with the hostility level. This, I think, is going to get a little bit nerfed. Let's say that let's say this starts at hostility level 1, right? That means at hostility level 4, you're burning at 120%. Yeah. So fuel efficiency is 30% lower. I kind of don't like the way this is worded. So does that mean that like coal is going to burn instead of a minute, it's going to take like 40 seconds, and wood is going to, instead of take like 15 seconds, it's going to burn in 10 seconds? Is that what this means? And also, like, if this stacks, um, like, how much is this stacking? So if it burns 200% lower at hostility 6, right? Which is, it's possible to reach hostility 6. And this is burning, at 180% lower. Is this basically kind of like the cornerstone where you used to be able to harvest wood faster, but wood burns faster too. I'm not sure. This is worded a little bit weird. Kind of wish they would word it just a little bit different. Um, but I also think if wood or coal or whatever is going to be burning at like 300% efficiency, oh boy, this might get a bit of a nerf. Overheating. Machinery tends to overheat in this climate. 5 spark due is taken from you every storm, multiplied by the number of years. If you can't pay, global production speed will be reduced by 15%, and the penalty stays even after the storm has passed. Cool. I think there wasn't much use for spark due or for the rain collector, and this is really good. Um, yeah, I think any kind of buildings where you're sort of forced to create them in order to satisfy a need are good, actually. It means that you're putting away labor, you're putting away, maybe even goods for a negative effect, and it basically reduces the efficiency of your settlement, and things like that. I think are totally fine. Vassal tax. Due to this region's location, the crown requires you to pay 5 amber every storm, multiplied by the number of years. So maybe 5, and then 10, and then 15, and then 20. Not bad. Obviously, this probably won't be in effect on like a trade block modifier, I'm guessing, because trade is usually one of the only ways to get amber, besides having the finesmith, and the finesmith doesn't come up very often. Um, I think what would be interesting is actually if this was available on trade block, but you automatically started with a finesmith as a cornerstone. But the other problem with finesmith is I believe it requires um, resin, and resin is not found on every single map. So, anyways, interesting. Um, the So I know that there are some effects that start like the first year. So maybe, I don't know. Anyway, it's interesting. It definitely probably means that you got to pull in a trader, or you have to open up some glades, and you have to try to open up some caches or get some. It's good. I like this. I really do. But I do. I'm curious to know how players will manage this. So, anyways, seasonal crops. The soil in this region is so fertile that mushrooms spring up by themselves. All farms can plant mushrooms on fields during the drizzle. Awesome. Cool. Um, probably not going to be available on barren lands, but yeah. Crimson rainfall. The rain in this region has a weird red hue and iron taste to it. Ink can be collected in the rain collector and drizzle. Amazing. I love it. Worms after the rain. Insects are extremely easy to collect after heavy rainfall. During drizzle, insects can be gathered in the scavenger's camp. I love this. Oh my word. Like, yes. This is such a great way to utilize the fact that there are some camps that that you don't get, but you can still harvest certain resources. I think they should do this for everything. You know, yeah, somehow introduce this for every camp, so that way, no matter what, you can always harvest most resources in the map. Would be amazing. Also, please make sure that this is only active on maps that actually have insects. This would be really weird if it wasn't. Like, for instance, there are maps where you get like the mushroom bonus, but they don't actually have mushrooms like on the map. So, like Coral Forest, for instance, has the mushroom, +3 mushrooms. Why would I want that in Coral Forest? So, anyways, I hope that they also rework this so that it's on maps where that's available. Piercing winds. Extremely strong winds make it difficult to sustain the holy flame. Fuel efficiency is 250% lower. Again, if this is only during the storm, this is kind of okay, but it goes back to what we talked about over here. Well, fuel efficiency is 30% lower. So if you have fuel efficiency is 30% lower, okay, stacked with hostility level, and you also have piercing winds where fuel efficiency is 250% lower, and let's say you're on like year 6, right? Your fuel efficiency is like, what, almost 600% lower, 500% lower. That is, yeah. um, we'll see how that works. It makes woodcutting more important. It makes maps like Royal Woodlands less attractive because they don't have things like coal. Um, Interesting. Again, I don't know at what level this unlocks. Is this at level 1? Does this unlock at level 1? Like, you basically have to deal with this immediately. I don't know. Lightning. The storm is more violent than usual. Every 50 seconds, a building is destroyed by lightning. Doesn't say how to mitigate this. Every single effect usually has a way to mitigate it to some way, in some degree, usually. If this is just you lose like 4 buildings, could be interesting. Thunder, a terrifying sound of a raging sky every 50 seconds. 3 buildings are destroyed by lightning. Again, I don't know at what hostility this is unlocked at. It doesn't say that, so I don't know. And also, is there a way to mitigate this? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, can you have some like copper or something to like control the lightning? I don't know. Also, I know it's called lightning and thunder, but thunder doesn't usually tend to destroy buildings, so I don't know. This is kind of naming wise a little weird. Aura of despair. No amount of amenities can distract villagers from the terrifying storm. Reputation generated from resolve grows 95% slower. Completely worthless. This needs a rework. So most of the time, my villagers are already not generating any reputation for me resolve during the storm because it's the storm, and I'm barely keeping them happy. So this is completely worthless and needs to be reworked. I maybe on like normal or hard difficulty, I can keep my people happy and actually generate some resolve during the storm. Otherwise, yeah. So this is a nothing. needs to be removed or reworked immediately. Like, not a single player is probably going to experience this. Vanishing goods. Some goods can seem to mysteriously disappear. Maybe there's a thief in the settlement. Villagers have a 10% chance of consuming double the amount of goods when using services. This effect scales with hostility. Cool. Interesting. Again, at what level does it unlock at? And is there a way to mitigate this? Bleeding trees. A red sticky substance is oozing from beneath the tree bark. Gain 4 resin for every cut down tree. Really interesting. 4 resin is way too much. I think this should be 1 or 2, because essentially what this means is you're actually not cutting wood, you're cutting resin. And resin is interesting, it's nice, but this is sort of like, imagine when you have fungal growth or fungal guide, I mean, on the marshlands, and you start, collecting like 4, 5, 6 mushrooms every time you chop down a tree. You really begin to find that you're actually not cutting wood, you're just cutting mushrooms. Same thing with this. 4 is way too much. Especially imagine that you get this right as a good thing, but you also have to collect wood for your burning from things like where's it at here? Like humid climate, right? You're trying to, or piercing winds, where you're trying to get more wood to kind of at least somehow survive through the storm, but you're not even collecting that much wood because you're collecting. Yeah, this seems to be 1 or 2. This is too many. 4 is way too much. Plus, it's just not used in that many recipes to begin with. Like, yay, I can make religion. Okay, nice. No contact. Harsh weather conditions make it impossible to reach the citadel. Gaining reputation doesn't lower impatience. Again, most of the time, I'm not gaining reputation during the storm. So, again, completely worthless. Like, okay, maybe this would be good if you're doing certain forest mysteries, or I mean, glade events. You're doing certain glade events, and you get that reputation during the storm. That's the only time that I can see this happening. But for the most part, I think completely not. Yeah, needs a rework. Again, like this, like imagine if this was available during the drizzle, right? If this was a bad thing during a drizzle, so much more interesting. During the storm, worthless. Acid rain. The rain dissolves some of the resources transported to the storage. Recipes producing building materials yield 50% fewer goods. Um, Interesting. You just turn off all your building material stuff during the storm. But again, I wonder, is there a way to mitigate this? Is there a way? And how do you mitigate this? Wild growth. Small energizing drops cause uncontrollable growth in some recipes or in some species. All resource nodes discovered during drizzle have 10 more charges. So this is kind of like when you get insects, when you open 10, when you open insects and you get 10, you get 30 insects. Uh, Kind of like that. You just get more charges. That's cool. I like it. Can't complain. I think what would be more interesting is if it was like 15, because then opening up small glades would actually be really, really interesting. Yeah, but 10's not bad. Can't say this is bad. Rot from the sky. The rain smells like blight rot. Global food production 15% slower. This effect scaled with hostility. Um, Again, how are you mitigating it? What is the mitigation for this? And if you can't mitigate it, okay, you just take everybody off of food production. Just make trade packs, make other things during the storm. Lightweight wood. The evaporating rainwater has made wood a lot lighter in this region. Woodcutters can carry 10 more goods in drizzle. Again, really interesting. The only problem is, why do woodcutters carry one item at a time? Please, first of all, make woodcutters camps hold 30 of a resource. I think that would be way better. Um, you would kind of have this sort of up and down roller coaster of when woodcutters bring in goods, but I think that would also help mitigate the fact that so often, I'm carrying like one piece of meat, one piece of fiber, 3 pieces of wood. And then another guy comes in with one piece of wood and then he goes and carries it. So, anyways, um, whatever. This is kind of a whatever. Insatiable hunger. Working in this environment requires a lot of energy. Villagers have a 10% chance to consume double amount of food each break. This effect scales with hostility. Great. This is actually a really, really fun one. Um, you know, there's already things that can consume more food. This is interesting. I would actually not mind if this didn't even have a way to mitigate it. Like, you just have to eat more food. Death and decay. This damp and rotting landscape is the perfect breeding ground for sickness. Villagers dying during the storm instantly turn to blight rot. What's funny? This is actually not even a negative. Like, let's say I lose like 3 or 4 people. Um, as soon as the what is it called? The drizzle hits, right? As soon as the storm ends, I can just send them to farm the blight rot and get even more resources. Like this is actually a good thing, not even a bad thing. I don't even like if you lose like let's say 30 villagers, then you've got a problem. But yeah, this is actually pretty good. And blight rot doesn't take that long to solve. Anyways, I think this is actually a good thing, not a bad thing. Quaking bog. The ground is moving and swaying from all the absorbed rainwater. Gathering speed is decreased by 50%. Um, okay. Again, you just take people off, and also like, what is the mitigating factor for this? Like, do people have clothes and they can walk on the ground? Like, I don't know. Kind of whatever. Sacred flame rituals. Only the sacred flame can protect the settlement from the darkness surrounding it. Sacrifice 3 wood for every villager. If you don't, they will leave. Um, 3 wood for every villager. Okay, so let's say you have 10 lizards, 15 humans, and 15 beavers. You're sitting at 40 villagers. That means that you have to sacrifice 120 wood. I'm guessing at the start of, like, as soon as the storm hits, you just lose 120 wood, and if you can't, then they will leave. Um, I don't know if I like this whole burning down the forest more. Where you definitely need like more woodcutters. I'm not against it. Um, this alone makes it so that you basically just have to chop, chop, chop like crazy. Um, so let's say, okay, you start off with 9, so you have 27 wood in the first year. You add on another 3, right? That's 12. That's 36. So you're sitting at about 80 wood by the second year. Let's say 120. So you're sitting at like 200. So yeah, you can easily go through probably about at least 1,000 wood in the first like 5 years. I'm guessing, if my math isn't too wrong. If you just keep adding villagers in, 1,000 wood is a lot of wood. Um, I'm not so sure about this. Also, the way this is worded, sacrifice 3 wood for every villager. It almost seems like you have to sacrifice wood, kind of like you do in a hearth. And if you're sacrificing 3 wood, this will basically just burn through all your wood immediately. I don't know, but I'm guessing this is just like a one-time thing. And again, it doesn't say at what hostility this is activated. Royal funding. The Queen's generosity knows no limits. Gain 2 amber every time you sell goods worth 10 amber. So you basically have to have a trader during the drizzle. So that is kind of problematic in and of itself. So let's say that the traders aren't coming. That means you have to call a trader, and of course, you know what happens when you call a trader? The queen gets impatient. So she's generous, but she's impatient. So you have to call them during the drizzle in order to gain this effect. But this effect is really good. But again, why is it only during the drizzle? Resisting flora. The trees seem to come to life during the storm. Woodcutting is 90% slower, but each fallen tree gives 5 meat. Again, I tend to take off a lot of woodcutters during the storm, so this is kind of whatever. 90% slower for extra meat is actually not bad. Um, I'm kind of okay with this, but yeah, it's kind of weird because it's like, okay, so you're only doing this during the storm, during a time where usually you take off woodcutters in order to decrease the hostility of the forest. But I guess if you need some food, you can do it. But 90% slower means it's going to take them, I think, like a minute and a half. So you can maybe cut down like 4, 5, maybe 10 trees. You also have to consider that they get 5 meat. So if they cut down like, 2 trees, um, I don't know. I don't know about this one. This doesn't seem good at all. Corrosive rainfall. The charged rain is slowly eating away at all metal objects. All recipes using metal ore have a yield 50% lower. Love it. Again, what's the mitigating factor, and what hostility is it happening? Fresh breeze, a refreshing current of air to lift the spirit. Those with basic needs taken care of are more willing to work. Energize effect for satisfying housing, complex food. Okay, cool. Balance. Downpour now requires housing and services instead of clothing. Its penalty is also changed from exhausted to gluttonous. I like this whole extra food consumption thing. I think this is really cool. Remove piercing wind's effect. A new effect was added, same name. Yep. Remove the invigorating wind seasonal effects. Don't remember which one that is. Cold snap no longer requires clothing and is now affecting all species, not only lizard. Its penalty has been changed from fading to gluttonous. Cool. I know that a lot of folks have been complaining about this. I think Bird of Terror was definitely one of them. Rich Branches Barren Lands is renamed and now only affects camps without the penalty to production on farm fields. Okay, amazing. I mean, I love this. Is probably one of my absolute favorite modifiers. Probably my favorite modifier. Cursed Rain is now categorized as very harsh and will occur on harder maps. Okay. Muddy ground will occur more often on easier maps as the speed penalty is not as harsh as originally assumed. Increase the speed penalty for muddy ground to 30%. I believe this is the one where if they're not on um, if they're not on paths, then they go slower. For the most part, I never even cared about this. This could be like 80% slower, and I wouldn't care because most of the time the only people that are off of the ground are woodcutters, and I usually take them off during the storm anyways. Grim Fate now activates on hostility 7 instead of 8. Okay, interesting. I might actually find out what this actually does. I think it kills people, but yeah, I've never ever had this activate. Remove 10 simple tools from the embark bonuses. Oh boy. Okay. Yeah, this is actually good. This is actually good for the game. Um, I think you guys, if you watch my videos, I always take 10 simple tools. It solves all of the problems for most of the glades and such. This is good. Change the generation range from Cursed Royal Woodlands. It can now appear one tile closer to the Citadel, and the distance is further decreased in the last phase of the world map. Phase of Sealed Ones. Awesome. I don't know if this was I know I suggested it, but I don't know if anybody else suggested it, so maybe this is the devs listening to me. But anyways, I know that somebody was talking about how you don't get access to the Cursed Royal Woodlands, and I was like, devs, please change it. I want everybody to have access to the Cursed Royal Woodlands. Okay. Increase the focus effects value 10%, 20% chance for double wheels. Love it. Oh, yes. I love this. So if you have this and you have a temple, you have 40% chance for double yields. Amazing. I love it. UI, UX improvements. We might just kind of run through this. Added magnifying glass to building blueprints. You can now preview buildings recipes by clicking on it. For orders, trades, glade events. Cool. I love it. This has definitely been requested for a while now. Add a red highlight to recipes when given green has run out. Yes. Yes, thank you. Added a sound effect when hovering over clickable elements. Added a small scaling animation when hovering over clickable ingredient slots. Again, not really sure what some of these are until I get into the game. Added the ingredient section to service buildings. Added rebind keys. Okay. Scroll bar to the trade panel. Cool. Fixed a bug. Village gets stuck. Fixed a bug. Hospitality. Fixed a bug. Political outmaneuvered. Okay. Fixed a bug. Trader arrivals. Good. Traders have been arriving wrong, so I'm really glad about that. Okay. Hidden from the Queen, not disabling impatience game. Okay. Fixed a bug where Grim Fate wouldn't scale with years past. Again, I don't think I ever had that activate once. Fixed an issue where villagers working in service buildings would be incorrectly marked as idle. Interesting, okay. Fixed a bug where using tab on the last recipe marks wouldn't cycle back to the beginning of the list. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Lightning effects during a storm would now rotate with the camera. I remember somebody was talking about that. All right, so I guess we have to use this suggestions tool now. I don't know about this. Like, I mean, the devs can do what they want, of course. I just find that I'm already logged into Discord, and I can just kind of go on there. But we'll see. I'll probably try and get some. I'll probably try and log in and get this, but I don't know about this personally. All right. Again, make sure to share, like, subscribe, do all the fun stuff that people do. Oh, and I don't mean to me. Go to their channel. They have a channel. I don't think I don't think I've ever asked anyone to like and subscribe my videos, except for certain things if I need something specific. But yeah, go to their channel, guys. They make some cool videos, things like that. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. And